my wife tells me I need therapy. So as most men, I don't find a professional who knows what they're doing. I go to my buddy and I say, hey, let's chat. You want to be my therapy session today?
Well, sure. Can you be mine?
Absolutely.
Because, our man crush started 30 years ago. So why let it end now?
We should all be picking up steam.
That's right. Now, today we wanted to talk about something. We started talking about federal health insurance. And the cost coming into this year is going to be a 13% increase.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And as we talked just momentarily, we said, I don't know if it was you or me. I think it was me initially that said, why don't we just, or maybe it was both of us.
Well, because we started talking about health, about taking care of your health. And then I said, well, that's kind of a health tip, isn't it? And then it just clicked from there.
We give where health meets wealth, right? At CD Financial. And, primarily we're talking to everybody here now, although we love working with federal families, employees, daily. Yeah. But, you have your family members that are not, and they've moved on in their own lives. And we want you to, as we said before, we want you to look after your health. Today. Now, we said, sometimes when we talk about our health tips, we say, people say, it's expensive to get that, Charles. Marcus, it is. You're right. Yeah. But why not invest in your own health now?
Yeah.
Right? What do we say? Physically,
mentally,
financially, and mentally, emotionally, right? Emotionally.
Yeah, we can say emotionally.
Yeah, that's emotionally. Yeah. Why not invest in your own well-being?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
And I thought I would share something. I shared this with you, but it highlights what's happened. So those who've been tuning in regularly know I care for my aging parents. And not too long ago, we had a situation with my father. And he called us over. It was late at night. It was a Sunday night. It was late. And he said he didn't feel quite right. So, what's going on, Pop? And he says, I don't feel quite right in my chest.
How old is he now?
He's 86 now.
Well, okay.
Yeah. He's, I don't feel quite right. And well, what does that mean? I don't know what not quite right is. So we go through the list of symptoms, right? You pressure on your chest, pain, left arm numbness, nausea, all the classic symptoms, and no to all of them. Just just a little weird feeling. So we were there for a long while debating, okay, do you want to go to the doctor? I don't know if I want to go to the doctor. So we went back and forth for a while. And around midnight, he finally says, you know what, I should go to the emergency.
Oh, wow.
Just in case. And we'd been talking for a couple hours. And, so I said, hey, whatever you feel, that's what we'll go with. My inclination, I think my wife's inclination was sleep it off, you'll feel better in the morning. But he said he wanted to go to the emergency. Great, let's go. So I get dressed. I take him to the emergency. We get in there. It takes a few hours for them to come back to us. And finally, the doctor comes in. She says, we're admitting him. And so why are you admitting him? She says, well, his cardiac enzymes were high. Well, he's had that in the past when he falls. And she said, no. Before they were this high, a little bit higher. She said, now they're up here. And that's indicative of a heart attack.
Oh.
Yeah. So
cardiac enzymes.
Yeah. So we get him in. Turns out the next day when the cardiologist comes through, he's got 95% blockage on his main artery, what they refer to as the widowmaker.
Oh, yeah.
95%.
Rightly so.
Yes. So most people, when they have a heart attack on that artery, die. That's why they call it the widowmaker. They die. He didn't die. Fortunately, we got him in there. He got a stent put in. Pop's doing as good as Pop can do right nowadays.
They can stent that. Yeah. How about that?
They can do open heart surgery at 86. I didn't know that either, but he opted for the stent. So
how long ago was that?
That was about 6 months ago now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay then.
Pop's, he's doing good. He looks good. He feels good. Relatively for an 86-year-old man, he's doing what he can.
Yeah.
But the point of that, and this was a huge learning lesson for my wife and I, and later when I talked to his cardiologist, he said at his age, they don't always display symptoms.
How about that?
Yeah, he says when your nervous system is younger, you tend to respond better. He goes, but at his age, his nervous system just isn't responding as well. So he didn't have symptoms, but he was having a massive heart attack. Basically an asymptomatic massive heart attack.
I would say, though, he's taking care of himself if he's 86.
Absolutely he has. Yeah. That's a huge part of it. But I made me think of this when we started this discussion because we don't always see the obvious symptoms that make us take action.
Oh, I see.
You know what I'm saying?
Illustration now. Yeah.
So,
Yes.
and that's what we were talking about. So we talk about physical health, mental health, financial health. We go through life sometimes either ignoring or not noticing symptoms, and we don't take action.
Yeah, I am. Yes. I would point out that your dad's very chill.
Yeah,
He's mellow.
he is.
And that certainly assists you in your longevity.
Yeah.
And quality of life too, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's one of the things I wanted to talk about. Because if I look back at my dad, he had a massive stroke when he was in his early 40s. And he had gotten a disability policy 1 year before that.
Wow.
And that's what I would say financially, that's what really kind of saved the family. Because it was based on his last year of earnings, and it was a really good year. And he got 50% of that, and that's what I guess that's what I was raised on for the rest of my time. I think I was 12 years old maybe when that happened. He was a young man. And you knew Dad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, he was paralyzed on his left side, but once you're over it, you're over it. Nobody cares. I mean, he was a very active guy. He just didn't work, right? I mean, he used a cane, but very expressive, down to earth, right?
Yeah.
Great sense of humor.
Yeah, that's...
Loved all my friends. My friends all loved him.
Yeah, well, of course we did.
Me and him were like that, right? Like dads and sons can do, but everybody else loved him. I had a friend from Akron, Aaron, and he says to me, "Oh, yeah, I was talking with your dad for like an hour." I go, "At the party yesterday?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "It was in our house in the basement. We used to have parties." I go, "What?" I go, you like my dad?" He goes, "Your dad is awesome."
Yeah.
I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Your dad is super cool." And I'm like, wow, right? I didn't know that.
That's because he had to spank you. He didn't have to spank us.
We just clashed a lot. So, yeah, and I look back at Dad, and he ate whatever he wanted to. I remember as a kid, before his stroke, like I'm 7, 8, he loved baseball. He played in high school. He played at Geneva College, close to the Ohio border in western PA, and he was a catcher. Loved baseball. Yeah. I can remember him. He would give us kids. We were little kids. Like there'd be 3 of us around him, maybe the 3 youngest typically, right? Me and Nellie and David. And he'd give us a little ice cream from the half gallon, and then he would sit there with the half gallon ice cream, and he would wipe that thing out.
Eat it.
I mean, I can make excuses for his upbringing, and he was Eastern European, so they like dairy, right? He's more dairy tolerant than I am because I'm half Asiatic, sort of, kind of Lebanese. Right. But he'd tear it up, right? And his gut came out ahead of him, right? Like you know, the belly came in the room than he did. I mean, he wasn't obese or anything. No. But he was way too much of a he was overweight. Yeah, and he had anger issues. And he wasn't dealing with those anger issues. And the combination of eating whatever his heart desired to whatever extent it desired, and then the anger issues, I think it played into. It
catches up.
Yeah, it caught up really early. Yeah. It caught up. He had high blood pressure all the time, and he put himself under a lot of stress. And you got to take care of yourself. You got to start thinking right. We talk all the time about you taking care of yourself financially. Yep. We talk about max funding your TSP or your 401k even, and how you got to set aside money for retirement. And it'll be there, right, when you get there. Right. But what are you going to be when you get there? Exactly. Right? I mean, what are you going to be? I don't want you to be a broken down automobile. I want you to be a fine racing machine. Right. You can go to 110 if you get that outlook and you start to say, wait a minute, how am I going to get to 110? Yeah. Right? Okinawans, they noticed, because I looked at the centenarians. I think we may have even done an episode on it.
We've talked about it. We've touched on it briefly.
The centenarians,
here and there, yes.
The blue zones around the world. One of them's just north of me. And is it Loma Linda?
Loma Linda, the Seventh-day Adventists.
There you go. And then there's the Okinawans, right? And the Sardinians, and in Greece somewhere too. And there's a 5th spot. I don't remember now. Yeah. And the Okinawans, they notice they don't have much furniture in their homes. They sit on the floor. Yeah. So you're 92 and you're sitting on the floor, which means you got to get up off the floor. Remember that Taylor sit you used to do with your legs in gym class? Yeah. Yeah, these are old folks.
They squat all day.
Yeah. Up and down, up and down, up and down. Stay flexible. I So we were talking financially. Let's talk about physically.
Okay.
When my oldest got hurt, and we're going to come back to him, we're going to read you something that he wrote 7 years ago.
Yeah, I love that.
Nonverbal. He's, in the autistic umbrella. Anyway, when we started a gymnastic routine, because we got onto a big physical program to help him retrain his brain.
Right.
And the left and right walking, right?
Crawling,
Cross
monkey
patterning,
bars.
crawling,
Yeah.
creeping, walking, running, doing the jungle gym, right, with the monkey bars. And then we started a gymnastic routine when we got advanced. At the peak, we were doing a gymnastic routine that lasted probably 20 minutes or more. And we were running 3 miles a morning. And he was 7.5. Jude was 5.5. I mean, these young people were running 3 miles every morning with their dad.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty amazing, right? And I remember I used to run backwards for like 300 yards, right, a quarter mile. It was my thing. I figured, well, the kids aren't going quite as fast as I could at that point, but, well, of course, now they can cruise right past me. They did that.
Let's not discuss that.
We went to Zion, and we were going up 4 miles of switchbacks to Observation Point, and Jude was 13, and he's just gone. He was way past me, and I was like, I can't do this, man. He was gone. Anyway, and that was what, 9 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me throw something out there, because I'm glad you brought that up with the boys and what you did, because the topic is investing in yourself, right? We're talking about investing in yourself today, now, before it's obvious that you need it. And a couple of years ago, I went through something that was bad, which is a really bad back injury, bulging discs, severe sciatica. I have actual atrophy on one of my calf muscles. It was really bad. It led to me tearing the other calf muscle. You remember when I came and everybody went up to Yosemite, I couldn't hike because I had a torn right calf muscle.
All right.
So it was all these, it took, literally, it was a 2-year process of getting back into health. It cost a lot of money, cost a lot of time, and a lot of it could have been prevented. Part of it was just taking for granted my health, because from early on, I've always been a guy, in the gym, playing ball. You know this, going back, we love being outside. I love playing ball, love being in the gym. I was always very active, and I got to a point in my life where I kind of slacked on all that. And I got this back injury. I ended up hiring a trainer. This guy's incredible. I think maybe at some point I'd love to have him on this podcast and interview him, because he's really good at working with people with injuries. He's not a therapist per se. He's a trainer, but he specifically works with people with injuries. And he told me once we started working, he says, look, I'm going to get you back to a good spot, which I'm in a good spot now physically. And he said, just remember this moving forward. He told me 2 things that I love, and I repeat them all the time. One, there's healing in movement. He said, you need to move your body, because your body in movement heals itself.
How about that?
He said, don't sit around.
Just like the walking and running, swimming, creeping,
all
crawling,
of that stuff. It heals your body.
Even.
Dancing, cycling,
cycling,
whatever it is you like to do. The other thing he told me was, and this really applies to everybody too, he said, working out for you, not an option. You do it. He says, either you do it or you're going to end up back where you were. So those 2 things I have learned a lot from, because it was a great lesson in remembering that I need to invest time in my physical health. And so now I walk regularly, I lift weights regularly. I wish I was closer to the ocean regularly so I could swim in the ocean, but those type of things. Recent years I've done cryotherapy. That's part of my regimen. Cold showers. Sauna, I'm getting used to. You're turning me on to the sauna, and I've read about all the health benefits of sauna, and we're working on that.
I'm trying to just do once a week, right? And I'm just fortunate enough that we have a clubhouse that has a sauna. Yeah. Because my garage is just not big enough. To get a sauna in there. I don't think it is. Maybe we'll get it in there. We'll transition. We'll see.
We'll work on that sauna.
I didn't want to put it in the bathroom because it was going to throw things off.
No. You might even both put it backyard.
Mark, you were worth it.
Yes.
That's the other message.
Yes.
I want everybody to hear it. You're worth it.
Absolutely.
The time, the investment, it took money, it took time you had to dedicate. It's even more valuable than money to get that guy to get you to back to health.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. That gymnastic routine that I was referring to with Isaac on the mats, I was looking because I thought, well, the Institute for the Achievement of Human Potential, it's a mouthful.
Yeah.
But it's a brain institute back in Philadelphia suburbs. They helped kids that have gotten injured, and adults even, get better, and communicate even without with speech. They spell and such. But I discovered that I wasn't quite ready to do a somersault. And I thought, I'm a young guy still, right?
Yeah.
And I looked at the mats and I had to practice. And now I'm happy to say I can do somersault. And I think it's important for everybody to challenge themselves at any age to be able to do that simple little task of a tumble. If you could do that, you'd be amazed that your body is actually in good shape. It will remain flexible, and you will keep off certain things, and even I think it'll even ward off things like obesity, honestly. If you just keep your body able, with the ability to just do a tumble, do a somersault.
And I'll add to that because something you taught me, I don't ski, you ski. I didn't grow up in a cold weather environment.
I snowboard.
You snowboard.
Now,
I was getting to that. You ski, you snowboard.
You have to be ready to tumble.
That's the thing you told me. You said one of the first things you got to learn is learn how to fall.
You have to.
And why? Because if you learn how to fall, you avoid injuries.
Right. I call it the Johnny Bench.
Yeah.
Where if you're going to wipe out forward, you just go completely flat and just go on your stomach.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're gonna bruise your knees bad.
Right.
Right. And going backwards, just don't.
So keeping yourself.
Just don't go backwards.
Don't want to bang the head.
No, but I just fall forward when I'm snowboarding.
But keeping yourself supple and
slide
flexible
with the arms
limber.
out.
Yeah.
Because if you try to catch yourself, a lot of people break their wrists and arms from that in snowboarding too. So especially as you get older,
Johnny
right?
Bench it, man.
Johnny Bench it, man. Just do the forward
Or are we
slide.
showing our age with the Johnny Bench? Johnny Bench it. That's all right. We'll go with the Johnny Bench.
Yeah. So,
like
stay flexible. That's so funny when you say that, because you should be staying flexible even mentally, right?
Yeah.
And emotionally, right? And physically. Because our day and age now, things are so black and white. I heard Tony Robbins talk about back in the Clinton administration, Bill Clinton had his book. And he went and he visited Bill Clinton and gave him some coaching. Mm-hmm. And then he walked across the aisle, he said, and he was at the GOP. I don't know who it was. I could be wrong if I said it was Newt Gingrich, a Republican.
Might have been Newt Gingrich.
Okay, and he says, and then he gave a session to Newt Gingrich. And I heard him on a recent podcast say, if you do that kind of thing today, they're going to shoot you, right? Yeah. But we've got to stay flexible. Mentally. Things are not black and white. As we get older, we realize there's a lot of gray zone, right? And so stay open-minded.
Yep.
Treat yourself decently by doing that. Your life will be less dramatic.
Yep.
Right? Yep. I mean, we started this talking about the increase in health insurance of 13% for FEHB, Federal Employee Health Benefit. And I'm sure for just about everybody that has health insurance. Mm-hmm. But take care of yourself beforehand, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe before we hop into mental health, I'll just add to that, because we're still dealing with physical health. One of the things that was also eye-opening for me years ago when Obamacare went into effect, like many people, I lost my health insurance because, one, my employer would no longer provide it since they had to pay for the bulk of it, and two, because most of the healthcare companies shot their prices up.
So to compensate.
Yeah, so it's like I couldn't afford health insurance, and then what do you do? Well, thankfully, I'm in my 50s. I don't take any medications regularly. I don't need any medications regularly. But part of my plan is taking care of myself physically so that I never have to take medicines regularly. I don't deal with high blood pressure. I don't deal with heart conditions or any of those things, because I take care of myself physically. I watch what I eat. I don't eat a lot of sugar. I know we've talked about that before. I eat low carbohydrate in general because that's what's best for my body. I exercise regularly. To me, that's my investment in healthcare. I'm not paying some healthcare company, for insurance, but I'm taking that money, if you will, and investing it in myself because I am worth it. I'm worth taking care of.
Absolutely, you are. I mean, I was thinking about the chiropractor that I saw. I see because she's next to her office here, and I started thinking, well, it's like $60 or $65, and my health coverage doesn't cover it. I'm like, so what?
Yeah.
Right? You gotta take care of yourself.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Those chiropractors. Well, she's good. When you find a chiropractor that's good, they're worth their weight in gold.
Yeah.
So you keep them, right? Yeah. Do the things that you know are good to your body, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Take care of things now. If you take care of things now, you're going to be so much happier later. What are you taking into your body actually physically? Like, what are you eating? If you know sugar's bad for you, well, I mean, there's some times where you deserve to have it, and you're going to be rejoicing about it, right? You could be at a wedding or a retirement party or what have you, and it's time for that, right? But other times you got to be careful.
Yeah.
Like Pops, thinking back to Dad, he was beating himself up, right? And he probably subconsciously knew that, but not consciously. But he was beating himself up, and you don't have to do that, right? I think
I tell you what, I'll add to that real quick, because you brought up the thing about ice cream, and I'll add to it, because one of the things that I've learned about myself, I don't crave sugar, right? I don't eat much sugar, I don't crave it. But if it's in the house, I will eat it. I don't buy a gallon of ice cream, because if it's in the house, I will eat the gallon of ice cream. We buy a pint. We eat the pint.
Oh, that's
done.
Smart.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then it also makes it difficult, because when you get those cravings, it's 10:30 at night. You're watching television, relaxed on the couch. It's like, man, I could go for some ice cream. But if it's not in the house, I'm not getting dressed and running to the store to get it. It's too much effort. So it keeps me. I'm better off, because it's just not. I don't let it in my house. And when I do, it's to have in the moment and enjoy, like you said. Yeah, I'm worth it. I have a pumpkin pie once a year.
You're right. I don't buy it, but when I see it, I crave it.
Yeah, if it's right there, you're going to have it.
I don't know. I have this one healthcare professional, and she said that sugar is absolutely as addictive as anything like heroin or opioids or Oxycontin or any of that stuff. Yeah. She says it's very, very addictive. It's wired into your system to go after it. Yeah, and I do poorly with it. I get a bellyache even after I've had a meal.
Yeah.
Right? I can have a big meal and go for some dairy and stuff, and I'll be okay because I've had a big meal. But I have sugar, and I immediately feel it in my gut. I don't know why. Well, in my stomach. I feel it. I'm like, what the heck? I guess I'm allergic to it. I hate saying that, but I think I am.
Yeah,
right?
I get the same thing. Bloated and gas. We've talked about, like, you and I have rice and stuff like that with me anymore. I can't do it. It just doesn't work well with my body. I love rice. I
really like rice.
But it doesn't work well with me. It doesn't love me back. Same with sugar. I'm with you. I feel horrible. If I eat sugar, I know what I'm getting into. When I do eat sugar, I know, okay, I'm going to feel horrible for the next half day to a day. But it was worth it in the moment. I had my pumpkin pie this year. I was good. That's a big deal for me once a year.
I do like pumpkin pie, too.
I love me some pumpkin pie.
I thank God that I have a dog.
Yeah.
And that the requisite for this service dog was that he's walked daily.
Yep.
And so Barris is 11. So we got him when he was about 2. So 9 years ago, I started daily walks with Barris. And then I thought, well, if I'm going to do that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a set of pull-ups, maybe before I'd walk him, and a set of push-ups after I walk him. So not only did I realize I need to be able to always be able to do a somersault and tumble, and I had to stretch because I injured I slid 2 discs when I was younger, right? And I realized it came several days after I planted like 4 or 5 big Leyland cypress trees. Yeah. And I was like, I'm going to do this myself. And I did. And then I paid for it. But I brought that on myself because I was trying to touch my toes. My chiropractor said, never do that, especially when your back's seizing up. That's a horrible stretch for you. I said, really? He goes, that's a horrible stretch. He taught me body mechanics. Yeah. And I never forgot them. And to flex your core when you're running or, when you're exercising, to pull your navel into your spine, so to speak. Flex your stomach. And what was I digressing about?
You were talking about the daily walks with Barris.
Daily walks, man.
Yeah.
Daily walks. People go on walks and they say, I feel so much better. I'm clear-minded.
Yeah.
Well, of course you are, right? Yeah. And plus, every morning I drink 2 glasses of lemon water and typically a capful of apple cider vinegar. Used to be a capful and a half in the mornings with a few ounces of water, and then I chase it afterwards with lemon water. And my sugar I was having problems with is gone. My sugar issues, year later, completely gone.
Good.
From that apple cider vinegar of all things. Just a capful and a half. That's it. And not every day. By the way, some mornings my body will say no. This morning I waved it off, but I poured it for my wife because I always take her a little bit of that and a glass of lemon water too. And so I'm like, hey, I'm good. Listen to your body, but take care of your body. It's going to take care of you for years. Yeah. You don't have anything else. All you got is your body.
You got the one body.
You got the one body.
Yeah.
Teeth too. Apparently, dental health is closely connected with longevity.
Yes, it is.
So floss once a day.
Yeah.
I do in the mornings because I suck at night. I don't have stamina at night, but I am ready to go the moment I wake up. I'm just ready to go. And I go all day.
Yep.
And then, 12 hours later, right?
You crash.
I start to wind down.
Yep.
Yeah. From 6 to 6, I'm good.
I think
that's dinner. I'm like, I'm good.
That's a great reminder too about the oral health, and I'll just take a quick detour because it's funny what's happened with oral health nowadays as opposed to like when we were younger. And I think we had a much better system because what do they tell you as a kid? To take care of your teeth, don't eat sugar, right?
Right.
That's what they don't eat that. It's going to rot your teeth. Don't eat that. Do you remember that?
Yeah, of course.
I used to get that all the time. Yeah,
that was the thing. That was the mantra.
Well, now it's brush. You can eat it. Just brush. And I think that's horrible because most people, for one, don't brush right after they eat something sweet. But it also just kind of opens the door. I'd much rather have the message out there, don't eat sugar, because you're going to eat it anyway, but you're going to limit it, as opposed to just saying, eat what you want. You can just brush it out later.
How about that?
I don't think that's true. I mean, I think you're conditioning your body, one, to consume a lot of bad stuff. Two, all that bacteria sits there. And if you're in an office and you're eating a donut at 10, you don't get up and go brush your teeth. You might do it after lunch or late in the day, but that stuff just
One of the
sits there.
things you can do is you can just take a swallow of water and swish your mouth.
Yeah, you can.
You just swallow it. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
But it cleans out your mouth and helps your dental health. Turns out that people with braces, they associated that at a young age with the retreating gum lines. So I've never had an issue with cavities, but I have an issue with that. I noticed my toothpaste has it was a propolis and myrrh.
Yeah.
2 essential oils, I think. Well, I know myrrh is because I use it. Anyway, I decided to start using a little myrrh on my toothbrush in the mornings. Remember, I'm no good at night.
Yeah.
At night, I just hit the toothbrush and go to bed.
Done.
But in the morning, I put a little myrrh on it, and I put that on my gums, and lo and behold, the dentist told me that my gums are no longer retreating.
Nice.
They're not growing back either, but they're no longer retreating. Yeah. So, all these things, the physical things, right? Watch what you're taking and you're eating. Yeah. For goodness sakes, drink water.
Yes, absolutely.
Right, and drink good water. I don't like drinking water from a plastic bottle. I really don't. We have a filter that is a plastic pitcher, but it's not a reverse osmosis. It's a pH. Mm-hmm. And when it's done, my wife says that copper has a good electrofrequency with water. Mm-hmm. So we have a copper container at home we pour it into, and then I take my Yeti or whatever that is, my water bottle, I bring it in here, and I have the same pitcher here. We go get it right from the spigot and let it filter through, and I drink 2 of those every day, plus the 2 lemon waters in the morning.
Yeah.
If I get those 2 bottles done, I don't know what they are.
I'll
28
add to
ounces,
that.
32 ounces, I don't know.
Because one of the greatest decisions I ever made, we didn't grow up drinking sodas. My mom never liked sodas.
I'm so glad you're bringing this up.
But once I got out of the house, now I can have sodas all I want. And I've never been a huge soda drinker, but there was a time in my life when it was definitely more regular.
You're a kid, we loved it.
Yeah, absolutely. But one of the best decisions I ever made was give up soda. Now I do have soda a couple times a year, and I'll tell you when I have it specifically. When I go to the movies.
Is that right?
And it's getting rarer and rarer because
you need to get you a Coke.
So much junk out there not worth seeing in a movie. But when we go out on a date night, we go to a movie. I'm going to get the big tub of popcorn because it's going to make me feel like garbage, but I'm going to get it. And then I get
because it makes you also feel like you're a kid in the movies.
Yeah, and I get a big Coke, and we share the popcorn and the Coke, and afterwards we both have a tummy ache, and we feel like garbage the next day. But it's worth it. It's that one time of the year that it's like, okay, we're going to have the Coke and do it. But that was one of the biggest things for me. I will drink, brewed iced tea. I'd like coffee. I'm a coffee guy. And water, and that's pretty much, and whiskey. But other than those things, that's what I eat or drink. And it's very important. It's not always just about what you take in, but what you don't take in. And if you can give up sodas and you can give up all those sugary beverages.
I've seen a lot of people improve their health tremendously.
Just by doing that one step.
And their weight, getting rid of soda pop.
Just get rid of soda. Even that applies to diet soda, too, because that's full of chemicals. Horrible stuff.
And I tell the kids, if they're going to have a soda, get the Mexican Coke.
Yeah, with the real sugar in it.
With the real sugar.
Yes.
Don't get that high fructose. That's just horrible for you. So let's talk a little bit about mental health. Okay? What are you taking in emotionally? Even spiritually, right?
Yeah.
Most of us, we need some kind of intake about higher being or God. And you need let go of anger.
Yeah.
Let go of resentment. What's the expression? Resentment is like giving free rent to somebody in your brain,
Yeah.
right? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
And what's the other expression I heard recently? Trials can make you bitter or make you better.
I like that.
Yeah, because if you get through the trials, and you will, right? And it was Christ that said each day has its own anxiety, so don't worry about what tomorrow's going to bring.
Yeah.
I just told a client this, and she started laughing because she was like, what's going to happen to my premium in 2 years on my Medicare Part B? I go, don't worry about 2 years from now. I go, just today, deal with today. We're going to be okay. It's going to be all right. Let go of your ill feelings, because all you're doing is hurting yourself.
Exactly.
That person's probably bebopping along in their life, not even thinking twice about
They
you.
don't even know about you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll add to that because I know we've discussed a couple of things about mental health over time in some of these shows, but forgiving people, just forgiveness, and I know what happens, and this is why we hold on to resentment, because we say, oh, that person's not worth forgiving, and that may be true, but you know who's worth forgiving? Yourself. And when you forgive the other person, it's not just for them, it's for you. Because you let go, you're saying, I'm letting go of this load. I forgive you, not because you deserve it. Maybe they haven't even changed. Maybe they're still that jerk that hurt you or whatever. But you forgive them because it takes the load off of you, and you let go of that resentment. Now you're out of my head. I'm
great.
done with you. I've forgiven you. We're moving on. You can continue to be a jerk or whatever, but I'm done with you. And we forget that aspect of forgiveness because we always think about, well, I forgive you and that benefits you. But no, I forgive you, that benefits me.
That's really good, Mark.
Yeah, so you have to do that.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to give you the health tip. The health tip is I want you to go look up my oldest son, the one who's nonverbal. He lost his speech when he was a kid. IsaacJama.com. ISAACDZAMA.
Mm-hmm.
It's Eastern European. What am I going to say? IsaacJama, IsaacDZAMA.com. And you're going to see a blog he wrote from 7 years ago. He used to write, 3 years ago, he wrote quite a few episodes. But this one's called Defeating the Bully from Within. I'm just going to read to you from it because it's because you're your own worst enemy so
It's
often.
an incredible post.
Yeah, so it's a poem. It's written in prose, kind of, but it's just amazing. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. So it starts with this. Battling with your negative mind actually doesn't start with that. I'm catching you halfway in.
No.
Battling with your negative mind is like warring with someone who knows all your weaknesses and shows no mercy. The bully that lies within your head is your worst enemy. I'm nothing, I'm hopeless, I'm worthless, are the bullets I continue to take. Will I survive such brutality? Will I be free of the bully that lives inside of me? Pray I am free, and pray for all to be freed. Love will always prevail if we choose it over hate. This choice starts from within. Good day, my fellow warriors. I am fighting until all negative thoughts perish. Are you with me? Love will prevail. He quotes here 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 8a. Mm-hmm. Was there some quote you liked there?
Yes, and in fact, you didn't read it, but this is the one that stood out to me, and it's early on in the post. It says, "Why does a person continue to choose to drink the glass of poison when a glass of love is just as easy to grab hold of?" I thought that was amazing because we all choose to drink the poison sometimes. I just mentioned that about forgiveness. That's what it is. Your resentment is based on you choosing to drink that poison. And let it go.
Yeah. And your mental trash.
Yeah.
Right? That you tell yourself lies. You lie to yourself all the time, and it's
we do.
let go of those silly, stupid fears. They're not true. I tell the team all the time, lean into your fears. If there's something you don't understand, lean into it. Go seek advice, ask questions, but go for it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. What's the worst that's going to happen? You make a mistake. Okay.
You learn.
You'll learn. You'll get over it. Nothing beats a failure but a try.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just go into it, right? Yeah.
And I think you also brought up an interesting point earlier with mental health, because we talked about what you take into your body and how it affects you. The same thing happens with your mind, and you have to think about what is it that you are feeding your mind and what effect does that have on you, on your mental health. If you're constantly, about maybe 3 or 4 years before the pandemic, I gave up watching the news. I was never a regular news watcher, but I'd pop in, once a day or maybe once every couple of days, I'd watch the news. But nowadays, the news is not about informing you of truths. It's about selling you. It's about selling ad space. It has been for many years, right? That's what they're doing. So it's so much negativity, because negativity, it creates a reaction from people. If they tell you something negative, you either agree or you disagree. Like we've talked about becoming so binary.
Yeah.
But it's just such a load of negativity all the time. I cut it out of my life. I'm happier for it.
I just have a hard time knowing what to believe, and when it's slanted. I don't like it slanted either way.
It's all slanted, yes.
I don't like it slanted either way. I used to love watching World News Tonight, but I don't. When I sense that it's slanted, I don't like it.
Yeah.
And that's and
it all is.
I don't
now.
want them to sell fear either.
Yeah.
I heard an illustration about. Oftentimes we were talking about holding on to resentment and forgiving. More often than not, the issue is not the person who has offended you. Who was it? Eleanor Roosevelt, FDR's wife. She said, not that we are responsible. We are able to make a response to people who may insult us. But she said, no one can hurt you without your consent.
Right.
No one can hurt you unless you decide to be hurt. It's a tough pill to swallow, Eleanor, but it's true. Yep. Right? I mean, when people insult you, especially in front of a group, maybe that's really tough. But you just got to let it go. It's too heavy. Life's too heavy.
Yeah.
You got to lighten it up.
There's a lot of real loads. We don't need to take on imaginary.
There's a lot of real. You're right. And if you look back, more often than not, the way you process things and the lies you tell yourself, we were talking about that.
Yeah.
The way you got to break free from the bully within, like Isaac said. Look back to your childhood, because that's where you were hardwired. Yeah. And that's usually where it starts. It doesn't have anything to do with the person that you're interacting with in present day now,
right,
or in the near past, but in the distant past. I liken it to, you know how sometimes we had our home remodeled 5 years ago, completely.
Yeah.
Gutted, rewired completely too.
That, yeah.
Just now, 4.5 years later, I noticed some of the sockets are not functioning. Maybe just a couple, but they've shaken loose and they're no longer functioning. So it's not that the whole house needs to be rewired and we need to strip out all the cables and all the sockets. No, but we might need to tend to some of the sockets.
Yeah.
They need worked on.
Yeah.
We all need a little work on. So we can work on those sockets and get them up to snuff again. And we might even want to put some dimmer switches on our anger, right? Mm-hmm. So that we don't just flip the lights completely on 100%, right? Dim it down, right? Yeah. Be wrathful, but do not sin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also scripture, right? So you could get angry, but don't go doing stupid things.
Yeah.
Don't go just spewing off things that you're going to regret later. Yeah. Slow it down, and take care of yourself. That's what this whole thing's about.
I like that the quote from the First Lady, and also what you were just talking about, dimming down anger, because one thing I learned many years ago, and it might have been my wife who taught me this. I don't want to give her credit because she'll hold it over me forever. No, I kid.
Sounds like resentment.
I kid, because she has taught me a lot about myself. When I got married, I didn't think I'd learn so much about myself, right? I don't think any of us, think about that. But one of the things she taught me in relationship to what you just said about the First Lady and the anger thing is, we use the expression all the time, they make me so angry, right? So when you say they make me,
right,
we're giving them power.
Right.
We're giving them consent. We're saying, here, do what you want to me. And it was eye-opening, because I never thought, because I would say that, oh man, that person makes me so angry. And it'd be like, why are you letting them? So what do you mean? You just said, they make you angry. Don't let them anger you.
There you go.
So it's a choice. So now, I've had it happen, someone says something stupid or whatever. I can choose to get angry, or I can just let it go. It was in the moment. And when you learn to do that, boy, it frees up so much of your headspace.
Yeah.
Nobody's living rent-free in your head because they can't make you angry unless you let them make you angry. And that applies to a lot of emotions. You know, you truly are giving consent to other people to do what they want. And you mentioned it earlier, they're bouncing around through life not even worried about what they did. You're the one holding on to it and, you know, still kind of regurgitating and, you know, going over and chewing on that. So just let it go, man. Just
there you
let it go.
All right, folks. We want you to start now taking care of yourself financially, physically, and emotionally, spiritually.
Yep.
Start to do that now. Planning for your retirement starts today.
Yeah.
How's that for a wrap, Mark?
I like it because so much of what we plan for is based on us being there. And if you're not taking care of yourself physically today, you won't be there to enjoy your retirement, which is what we want for everybody. So I love it. Good stuff today. Thank you, folks. Thanks for joining us. As always, we appreciate your presence here. This is fun. Thanks for coming to our therapy session. I don't know if we look any better. I feel better. This is a great conversation.
I feel much better.
So
thanks for tuning in. We're looking forward to talking to you soon on the next podcast.
Absolutely. And don't forget to click the link and subscribe. We look forward to it. Until then, be good.